Let's talk about types of charts. We're not going to talk about every type of chart that's listed in figure 4-1 on page 4-4. For example, with the statistical charts, it doesn't make a lot of sense to discuss pair 2 charts without a good foundation in statistics. This is not a statistics with Excel course, so we're going to skip that. We're going to skip a couple others too. But let's talk about the big ones, and let's get started with column and bar charts, one of the most commonly found types of charts anywhere. Column and bar charts are great for comparing one thing to another. Notice that on the left we have a column chart, and it's comparing quarters from quarter 3 2012 to quarter 3 2019, going sequentially in order so you can compare one quarter to the next. Of course, you can always compare side by side, but it's also easy to just draw your eye and compare quarter 3 2019 directly with quarter 4 2012. And like any type of chart, what we're doing is we're displaying a lot of information at once visually. On the right, we have a bar chart. The bar chart is comparing different small and mid-size luxury car sales. It allows us to see how the Tesla Model 3 is selling compared to other luxury sedans. And sometimes I get the question, what's the difference between a bar chart and a column chart? And the honest answer is there's no real difference between the two. They're just a slightly different way to display the same information. Either one of these charts could be either a bar or a column. However, I've noticed personally that column charts are often used to display something impressive. Think about walking into a city for the first time, looking all the way up, seeing a skyscraper and thinking, wow, that's huge. Often when I see a column chart, it's trying to give you that same impression of, wow, that's huge. This delivery model going from so few in quarter 4 2012 to so many in quarter 3 2019. Yes, that's huge. It's impressive. So they used a column chart to display something so impressive. But that's just anecdotal. That's not from the book. That's just something I've noticed. Hierarchy charts are all about showing types and subtypes. We have a tree map on the left, which comes from freeware called WinDirStat, that's Windows Directory Statistics, and it will analyze your hard drive for you. It's been around for a very, very, very long time. And you see a lot of that bluish purple color. If you look on the top right of that photo, that's an NKX file, that's a sample file. So I've got all these sample files because I make so much music. I've recorded a lot of samples on my own. I've purchased many samples so I can use them to create music. My hard drive has a lot of those files, and you see that very quickly and easily with the tree map analysis. On the right, we have a sunburst of world population. Recall that these hierarchy charts display data by category, and each category gets a smaller and smaller subcategory. It's a lot like a pie or a donut chart with those subcategories. Notice we have the world in the center, and then continents around the world: Europe, Asia, America, Africa. And then Asia breaks down: Western Asia, Southeast Asia, Eastern Asia, and Southern Asia. And for example, we see Eastern Asia break down into China, Japan, and a couple others. And sunburst charts often display very in-depth information. We have waterfall and stock charts. This was a chart type that I was not going to include, but I had my trading platform open already. All I had to do was jump to it and take a screenshot. So here we have a screenshot of an equity called VFF, and this is their stock chart. The candles, those are those blocks, those little lines. They represent the highest point and the lowest point for any given period of time. In this specific case, each candle is 1 day. So when we see a red candle, we know that the stock lost money that day. And when we see a green candle, we know that it made a little money that day. The bottom of the candle is the lowest price for that day. The top of the candle is the highest price. And we know if it lost or gained just by the color of it. It displays a lot of information quickly. And if you look real close, you might see 1 or 2 gray candles where it closed at the same price that it opened. That's a very compelling candle when you see that as a stock trader. We have line and area charts. This might be the most common type of chart, after a bar or a column chart. I was surprised it wasn't the second chart listed on the page. On the left, we have a line chart, COVID case growth rates, and on the right, we have daily deaths and cases by region. The left is showing a trend, so we see a trend going up, and on the right, the area itself represents a total number of deaths. And I know this is very sobering and dismal information, but I knew I would just have to go to a news website and I would see line and area charts or column and bar charts very, very quickly. CNN and their COVID-19 coverage did not disappoint. We have pie charts and donut charts, which honestly are pretty much the same thing. Both of them measure 100%. 100% of what? Well, 100% of something. On the left, we have a percent of people who can name the 3 branches of government. So this survey represents 100% of the people who responded, including the one person who refused, assuming maybe that they asked 100 people. I found it surprising that 33% of people did not know any branches of government. On the right, we have e-waste generated in 2016, and the donut chart is showing 80% of the e-waste is not documented. On the little green section, we have 20% of e-waste is documented, collected, and properly recycled. Really, the only difference with the donut chart is the inside space of the donut gives you a little extra room to display something. In this case, they put the title of the chart in the center, and that makes it really eye-catching. Your eye is automatically drawn towards the center, and it kind of works its way outwards. I think this is a very effective use of the donut chart. We have the XY, scatter, and bubble charts. These represent data points, and these data points can be used to make a trend line. For example, we have the average shot length in a movie. I thought it was interesting that I ran into this while I was just searching the web for different types of charts. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I've been watching more movies than I ever have before as we shelter in place. And I've been noticing that when I watch older movies, the shots are a lot longer. They take these long, sweeping panoramics. They will zoom out on a conversation so you can see both people at the same time. In modern movies, they do not linger over landscapes. I notice fast cuts from one person to the next person, back to the first person when they have a conversation. So I thought this was interesting that I found this chart that backed up this thing I've been casually thinking about a little bit. Notice in the top right, we have a bubble chart that does not have a trend line. This trend line is optional, but it's usually found when you have a scatter plot. Excel will make that trend line for you. You do not have to guess it. It will do that work for you. Lastly, we have a combo chart. Combo charts are not as common as other types, and it can be a combination of any type of chart that makes sense. Here we have a column chart. We have that superimposed with an area chart. So notice that the area chart is showing a total of China's US Treasury holdings, the area itself being the total value of those holdings, and this is measured in trillions of dollars. And then in the column charts, we see a month-by-month look. So I thought this was a very effective combination chart. We see both the big picture with the area chart and the month-to-month picture with the column chart. And at the same time, you see how they correlate with each other. It makes a little bit of sense. It's a good chart. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for watching.